In 300 yards, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355. Keep right. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London Heathrow Airport. In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4. Continue on M4 for 9 miles.
From just after 25 at the A10, and that was following an accident. And then also after an accident, there were anti-clockwise delays between junctions 16 at the M40 and 15 at the M4. In Twickenham, York Street stays closed eastbound for those emergency repair works at London Road, and delays of about 15 minutes on the A2 westbound. This is all the way from the Cobham services up to the Bean interchange, and that was after an accident, but all the lanes are now back open. Severe delays continue on London Overground between Gospel Oak and Barking, and also between Stratford and Richmond between Stratford and Clapham Junction.
This is LBC. Selling your car doesn't have to mean haggling with strangers or pretending to be a car connoisseur. Simply sell your car the motorway way. It's the new sell your car from home way. All while car dealers compete to give you the best price way. It's the you could get up to £1,000 more way. This is the new way to sell your car. This is the motorway. Sell your car at motorway.co.uk. For pricing claim verification, visit motorway.co.uk.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
EWT Water is proud to introduce the EWT Dual, a combined unit to help remove volume scale and give you great tasting filtered water in your home. A new year with a new you. Shop now and save in our January sale. EWTwater.com, the perfect customer experience every time.
Starting a business comes with a lot of obstacles, and banking shouldn't be one of them. HSBC Kinetic is a business current account that makes managing your business finances quick and easy. So easy that you can download the HSBC Kinetic app today and apply in minutes. HSBC UK, opening up a world of opportunity. Subject to eligibility, credit check and terms and conditions. Fees apply. At HSBC, you are backed by the current account switch guarantee.
Life is about sharing those magical moments, and food shouldn't be any different. For over 35 years, Marouche has been perfecting this experience with their delicious food, warm hospitality, and live entertainment. Authentic Lebanese cuisine made the traditional way. Marouche, your family restaurant. Book now at marouche.com.
Euronics is a network of over 600 independent electrical stores. They've been right on your high street for generations, each one offering great local service and value from the biggest brands like Bosch, awarded which UK large kitchen appliance brand of the year. Everything comes direct from your local store. Pop in, go online, or give them a call. Independent stores supporting local communities, just how it should be. If you want to go big on winter savings, big on quality used cars, and big on bargains, there's only one place to go. Big Motoring World, with thousands of cars for you to choose from, all at low, low prices. We're big on what matters to you. Big Motoring World. Winter sale now on in Enfield, Westmoreland, and Bluebell Hill. Or at bigmotoringworld.co.uk.
Breakfast on LBC.
With the British Airways American Express Accelerating Business Card, earn Avios while you spend.
Front pages of your newspapers 19 minutes after 7. I'm asking you, by the way, who do you believe? And it's a pretty inedible. I'm so sorry. Incredible even. Or unedifying, or even inedible. I wouldn't choose to eat either of them. Boris Johnson or Dominic Cummings, this story. This is on the front page of many of your newspapers. The Daily Mirror PM gave go-ahead for party, not even putting quotes there, so the Mirror's decided. Metro, I swear PM lied to the House. That's what Dominic Cummings is saying. The Times, Cummings, PM lied to Parliament about party. Remember, that is a hanging offence. It's all right to lie to you or me, but lie to other elected politicians, that's the end of the world. You've got to love these politicians, don't you? And the Guardian, Cummings accuses PM of lying over number 10 party. Similar theme for the front page of the Tory angst at Johnson leadership growing. Respectfully, you could have written that any day of last week and probably half of the week before that, so I don't quite know why we'd splash that right now. Politics of a different sort for the front page of the Daily Telegraph. Tougher powers for magistrates to clear trial backlog, and we will hear from Justice Secretary Dominic Raab, who will be making the announcement later today. He's going to be with us later in this hour. The Daily Express probably rightly actually picks on the energy bills crisis, and we have mentioned this so-called awful April. I don't know about you, but I had to have the thermostat up last night. It was bitterly cold in my part of the country, and I'm sure it was in many of yours, and those bills set to come in. The Express pointing out Mr. Johnson has 3 weeks before many struggling families, or many families on Struggle Street, as I often call it, will get those bills through the door. The clock is ticking, says the Daily Express. The Daily Mail, British troops sent to Ukraine. We're going to give you more details on that brewing story. There really is concern in a moment or three. see if he can fall any lower in public esteem, isn't it? There's nothing really left for him, I would suggest, unless he attended one of the parties. That'll just about be the end of him. All right, Ian in Chiswick. What a choice, Governor. Who do you believe? Johnson or Cummings? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm all right. All right. Yeah. Good.
Excellent. It's a horrible choice to make because I don't trust either of them as far as I could throw them. But the problem we've got is that consistently for years and years and years, Johnson has lied to his bosses, to the Prime Minister when he was a minister, to everybody. He's lied throughout. Where is he at the moment? He's a coward. Who's got COVID?
What would you like to see him doing, then? If you say he's a coward, I mean, I have to say, it is reported one of his family has COVID, which is why we're not seeing him. But that wouldn't stop him getting a...
In 2 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
He doesn't need to isolate either. If he's had his jabs and his booster, which then begs the question: has he been telling everybody to get boosted and not got boosted himself? I think there'll be more to come from Cummings. I think that I saw a stat a few weeks ago that he needs to hang on until June, because if he doesn't hang on until June, he will be the shortest serving elected Conservative Prime Minister.
Oh, is that right? Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, I believe so. And even shorter than Theresa May. So if he doesn't stay until at least June, he will be abject failure.
And here's why I think he will stay. This is why I think he will stay until June, because we have the local elections in May, where I would think the Conservatives are going to take a fair old kicking. Why would you want the new bloke or woman who takes over to absorb all that, put that all that toxic material, a shocking May, lay it all at the door of the bloke you're going to stab in the chest in June or July?
So I think it will possibly be similar to Cameron. So Cameron saw the Brexit debacle, and then the following morning resigned. I think that Johnson will see through the local elections, and he'll go the following morning.
Keep it tuned on LBC. It's a few months away. If I'm still here, I'll be happy to report on it for you. Ian, thank you for that. More views on this in a moment. 7:24 now. There are other stories and a development that you would have heard on LBC bulletins yesterday. I'm sure the body of a British woman swept away by the Tonga tsunami has been found. Here with the details, LBC's Alex Stevanovic. Alex.
50-year-old Angela Glover from Brighton became separated from her husband James when the wave, triggered by the huge eruption of the volcano on Saturday, hit their coastal home on the Pacific island of Tonga. There had been an urgent appeal by the family to help trace her, but on Monday, Angela's body had been found. She disappeared after what was an underwater volcanic eruption caused huge waves to hit the island, engulfing many homes, including theirs. Her brother Nicolini believes she'd been trying to rescue her dogs at the time. He says the family's devastated.
She's beautiful. She would walk into a room and just lighten the room up. The words haven't got the words in my vocabulary to even describe how we're feeling. This is just a terrible shock that's happened to us. You know, we're ordinary people. Stuff like this just doesn't happen to people like us.
Her husband found her body after the waters receded, and although he managed to cling to a tree for safety, Angela and several of the couple's dogs are understood to have been taken by the wave. Angela was originally from Brighton and had been living in Tonga since about 2015. She had set up an animal shelter called Tonga Animal Welfare Society to care for and rehome stray dogs. Now, this huge eruption of the volcano was its most powerful eruption since 1100 AD, and before that, around 200 AD. An event some scientists believe only happens once in every 1,000 years, and when they do, the eruptions tend to continue for several weeks. But the after effects have been felt around the globe, with tsunami warnings put in place along some parts of the American Pacific coast on Saturday. The extent of the damage of the eruption caused is still being assessed.
Alex Stevanovic reporting. Let's come back to, as I've said already, an unedifying choice. Two men, not necessarily the greatest track record for honesty, Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings, at war over whether the Prime Minister has or has not lied about that party. Tony in Woodford. Who would you believe, Tony? Good morning.
Morning, Nick. I don't like Dominic Cummings, but I believe Dominic Cummings. He's got nothing to lose. I don't like Boris Johnson. He's totally dishonest. He never answers Keir Starmer's questions on PMQs. He just thinks that's a good thing not to answer questions. Dominic Cummings, definitely.
if I were to put to you that you may well be right, sir, but if possibly a man
he doesn't answer
he's driven by a vendetta, but those who might say this is purely now driven by a vendetta, if he knew this a few months ago, he'd have fired the bullets then. How would you respond, Tony?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
That those who say that Mr. Cummings' stance is driven by a vendetta, and if he'd known this, if he'd had these bullets, if he'd had these allegations, he would have fired them weeks ago to try and hold the Prime Minister under the water then. How would you respond?
Well, I think he's doing it now because he knows the Prime Minister's on the ropes and he just wants to do maybe the final blow.
The coup de grace. Tony, thank you. I have to say so far the callers are all for Mr. Cummings and this most unfortunate spectacle of choosing between the two men. You'll make more of your choices in a moment. 7:27 now. Front page of two of your newspapers. One splashes their main story is events in Ukraine. Britain last night sending troops and high-tech kit to Ukraine in a bid to sort what could be a feared Russian invasion. Michael Clark is Associate Director at the Strategy and Security Institute at the University of Exeter and was the Director of RUSI, Royal United Services Institute, and joins me now. And I have to say, with people's focus possibly on COVID, Christmas and parties, whether their own or number 10, this for some has rather sleepwalked its way up the news agenda. Mr. Clark, can you give those, for people who are waking up to everyone, the background to this? Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Well, this is a crisis manufactured by President Putin from about November, where he started to bring troops towards the Ukrainian border and is threatening some sort of military action into southeastern Ukraine, where a civil war took place, as you may remember, in 2014, 2015. But it's part of a broader agenda of his, which is to argue with NATO that you must not keep expanding, that NATO must give him guarantees that it won't keep on taking on new members, and that it will never allow Ukraine or Georgia to join NATO. So he's got a big agenda, and he's using the threat of some sort of invasion or military action as a sort of pressure point for that, and that's reaching a critical stage now, as we always thought it would. Mid-January to mid-February is when the conditions are right, the ground is frozen, the tanks can move, and he's got a lot of tanks. He's got 4 tank armies as we're poised, not right on the border, but within striking distance, to move into Ukraine, and that's the threat.
How much desire has NATO shown to expand into countries such as Georgia and Ukraine?
Well, very little. I mean, NATO has made rather foolish statements going back to the 1990s that, of course, anybody is able to apply for membership, and that they have talked about the eventual membership of Ukraine and Georgia. But I can promise you, and President Putin knows this, that the possibility of...
In a quarter of a mile at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
NATO is working with Ukraine. I mean, they won't give them membership, but they'll give them a lot of help. And that's what President Putin is so upset about, that Ukraine has been given. It's been given $2.5 billion worth of American military aid in recent years. It's been given a lot of help by NATO members, by Britain. We're helping their military. We're helping Ukrainians to resist Russian pressure. So although they won't get NATO membership in my lifetime, they will get lots of NATO associate status, and that really upsets the Kremlin.
I better not use the word war, but how close are we, Mr. Clark, to some kind of...
Exit at junction 3.
It might be.
Yes, war is not the right word at all, but military action is like 50-50 at the moment. I mean, there's still a fair chance that Mr. Putin will just back away from all of this, as he did in the spring of last year. He built it up and then backed it away. But
in a quarter of a mile at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312.
If there is military action in Ukraine, the West will not respond directly, so it won't be Russian Western military action. We're not going to fight for Ukraine, but there will be a lot of other actions that will take place, lots of sanctions, financial sanctions. There will be a lot of disruption and a lot more reinforcement of other NATO states as a result of this action. So what the West is saying to Mr. Putin is, look, we know we can't stop you walking into the Donbass region of southeastern Ukraine. We know we can't stop you even taking Mariupol and a land corridor to Crimea. But if you do, the consequences will be so severe, the other consequences, that you'll wish you hadn't done it.
Fascinating background. I fear we might have to talk again over the coming weeks. I'm sure you understand why I use that word. Michael Clark, Associate Director at the Strategy and Security Institute at the University of Exeter, former Director of RUSI as well. Okay, more of your calls. Who do you believe, David? We're going to talk to you. Mr. Cummings or Mr. Johnson? A difficult choice, isn't it? Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary, we'll ask him later in the hour who he believes. I think we know which way his money will go. He's actually coming on to talk about a change, giving magistrates more powers, but some legal experts are questioning this approach. Barrister Jeremy Dean, QC.
More people are likely to be sent to prison by the magistrates, and the prisons are already busting at their seams. And I'm afraid that this proposal is liable to increase the backlog in the Crown Court.
The Deputy Prime Minister with us in the next half hour. 7:32, just you're listening to Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari here on LBC. Let's get the news with Simon Conway.
The House of Lords has rejected a series of government proposals to tackle disruptive protests like those organised by Insulate Britain. The measures, which were voted down last night, included allowing police to stop and search anyone at a demonstration without suspicion. Number 10 has denied claims by Dominic Cummings that the Prime Minister was warned in advance about a Downing Street party during lockdown. Boris Johnson has been accused by his former chief advisor of lying to MPs about the gathering in May 2020. The number of
exit the roundabout onto the parkway.
184,000 between November and December. Official figures show there was a 0.6% increase to 29.5 million people. LBC weather, a frosty...
Continue on the parkway for 1 mile.
Patches of freezing fog, slow to clear in the south. Elsewhere, a mix of cloud and sunny spells, some rain in the far northwest later. A high of 9 degrees.
This is LBC.
What are your 2022 business goals? Data security? Minimizing downtime? Dell Technologies can help you achieve every goal during our New Year event. From transforming digital workspaces to providing comprehensive end-to-end IT solutions. Find the latest high-performance PCs with powerful hardware-based security. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Chat with a Dell Technologies advisor at dell.co.uk or call 0800 085 4878.
We've got it at Selco. Selco is where the trade goes.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of trade, quality building products. In January, we've got 2.4 by 1.2 metre sheets of 18mm sheathing plywood for only £27.99 ex VAT. Now that's a real deal. Find even more real deals at Selco Builders Warehouse and online at selcobw.com.
We've got it at Selco.